Fall camp is here, but will Hugh Freeze continue to take it easy on Jackson Arnold so he has confidence coming out of fall camp? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the World Pro. I'm your host, Mike AC. Thank you so much for turning us up and turning us on. We'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, Thrift Behringer, to talk a little Auburn football on today's show. We're going to talk about Jackson Arnold on the eve of the start of fall camp. And then we'll talk week one expectations versus Baylor. Let's start with Jackson Arnold. Thrift, it's been reported that Hugh Freeze told DJ Durkin to take it easy on Jackson Arnold so that he leaves practice with confidence. Thrift, I don't know what to say to this. He named Jackson Arnold his starter before he even stepped foot on campus, essentially. There wasn't a QB competition, so to speak. The QBs were evaluated. Deuce Knight played well this spring. Ashton Daniels showed up this summer, so he showed up just after May and has been working out with the team. But Jackson Arnold is your guy. They held him out of the spring game with a hamstring thing. It was precautionary. Is this the right approach? Taking it easy on your quarterback so that he has confidence. You know, are you looking at it from an aspect of he's a gamer and you just expect when game time comes, he's going to be able to do what he needs to do? I have a hard time with kind of dialing down the competition for a guy who should be one of the most competitive guys on the field.
I completely agree with you, G-Bo. I am so baffled at this. I told you off air, man, if this is true, and I feel like I'm getting bamboozled again, I'm off the damn Freeze train. I'm telling you that right now.
Okay.
Fool me once. And you know what? I learned my lesson. Fool me twice. Come on. You're telling me, and I came on this program, Mike, and said to you at SEC Media Days, man, you brought Jackson Arnold. You named him the starter. The confidence you have to have in this young man when you know your job's on the line, he must be killing it in practice. And now you're saying you've been telling Durkin and the defense to take it easy so he can have confidence? Mike, that does not sound good. I don't know how you can spin this any way positive. And if you can, I'm all ears, Mike. I'll listen to you. Because I don't see this at all as a good thing. And I am now worried. I really am. You're telling me he's just going to go out and game it? And you're building confidence in a guy that should already have it? Where's the swag? I need that from him. Maybe, just maybe, he's trying to build that swag up. But I don't like this. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to try to put a positive spin on this, I would say, is that just how good the defense is, how good the secondary is? Are they playing that well that, they can't get reps off? You hear,
I can see that. Yeah.
You hear coaches talk about this during the spring. They say when you scrimmage against yourself and one side does extremely well, you're not left with a good feeling either way. So if your offense dominates your defense, could your offense be just that dominant, or could your defense just be that porous, or vice versa?
Right.
So it's difficult to tell, if the defense is dominating, how quality are the reps that your offensive guys are getting? I would kind of I would relate it to, or compare it to, a shooter in basketball seeing the ball just go through the hoop, right? You're not having a very good game. You get to the free throw line, you sink a couple, and then suddenly you find your rhythm. Could it be something like that maybe for Jackson Arnold?
Okay, yeah, I hear you, and I'm glad you spin it that way. And if that is the case, okay, why do you need to get that message out, though? Why do you need to say that you needed to help build confidence with Jackson Arnold? Because now we have still not played a game. So if Jackson Arnold does not play well against Baylor, either you now have a built-in excuse, which is why do you need a built-in excuse anyway? You're putting all your confidence in this guy. And number two, I really don't understand why you named him the starter in the first place then. If you felt like you needed to go ahead and build in an excuse 30 days before the season starts at SEC Media Days, hey, by the way, I had to tell DJ Durkin. That's something you say once he's killing it during the season halfway through. Like, hey, back in summertime, I had to tell DJ Durkin, the defense, to take it easy on him. And now you're seeing the progression. The guy still hasn't played. Why are you putting that out there right now? So I don't understand why he did that. What's the motivation behind it? I love to pick his brain on that.
Yeah, the other question I would have is this a standard tactic that he uses? Does he normally do this with his quarterbacks?
Okay.
Did he do this with Peyton Thorne? Are you just pulling this out of the hat for Jackson Arnold? So many questions. It is a very odd thing to be out there where you're essentially, people are saying, you're taking it easy on your quarterback in practice. Look, I know this defense is good. I think his secondary is going to be one of the better ones in the country. DJ Durkin's defense kept a lot of people from running away from Auburn on the scoreboard last year, and that what meant limiting big plays, keeping people out of the end zone as best they could last year. I think that will continue. It's not unreasonable to think that in practice, if they're dogs like that, that some of that is carrying over to a practice, and they may be dominating the offense at times. I heard one SEC coach say, you want kind of an even, split of both, where the offense is making big plays at times and the defense is making big plays at times. And you're never happy to see your offense turn the ball over, but you're certainly happy to see your defense get turnovers, right? Against a very good offense or against a quarterback that usually protects the ball. Up until the spring game, we were told that Deuce Knight had not thrown an interception the entire spring. And then he had a couple of tough reads against, the first team defense in this spring game scrimmage that resulted in interceptions. But up until that point, he wasn't turning the ball over. And, I think that is a very good sign. But I think it's also a good sign that when the lights were on, the defense stood up and got those turnovers from a guy who was not turning the ball over. So this is a very, very curious approach, I think. I just would be interested to hear if this is something that he normally does, or is this situational with Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, and Dari Noka, he came out and along with Cole Kublik saying he had an experience with Hugh Freeze this week, quote, where he made it sound to me like he had no choice but to bring Jackson to media days because Jackson needs that kind of reassurance. Hugh's telling other media people we had to ask DJ, the defensive coordinator, to make sure that practice does not end without Jackson feeling confident. I don't understand why that need to be out there, even if it's true. I'm not saying he's wrong in doing that, trying to build his confidence up. Why did that need to be a part of media days? I don't understand. Where's the positive in putting that message out there? Now you're creating doubt. Now you're creating some with Auburn fan base, some like unease, like, you brought him, we thought, for SC Media because he's killing it. You're saying you brought him because you don't want him to lose his confidence. That doesn't sound very reassuring for the start of the season, Mike.
It doesn't. And I'll tell you this, Thrift. When you talk about putting that message out there, like why put that message out there? I got taken to task by certain fans on a certain message board about questioning messaging coming from this coach and this coaching staff. 2 years later, here we are, and all we're talking about is messaging. What did he mean when he said just make a bowl game? And I'm like, I tried to tell you guys this shit 2 years ago. that sometimes Hugh Freeze has done a lot of things that I really like. This is something I feel like he still can improve on. He calls it being honest to a fault. I think he just needs a better media filter, period. I mean, he's been doing this a long time. Ultimately, when you're winning games, these things aren't really storylines. But when you're not, and Auburn has had 2 straight losing seasons to start the Hugh Freeze tenure, all these other storylines stick. So is it the right approach? Well, we'll see week 1 versus Baylor, which is what we'll talk about right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of the Auburn Express is brought to you by our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from the Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to Renfro's Supermarket and Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. This episode of The War Report is brought to you by our friends at The Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, The Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Visit them for all your herbal medicinal needs. I want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. Do you want to get to know yourself a little better? Maybe learn how you can work better with a team or work better with your partner? SetsForSociety.ai has custom personality assessments that will help you learn a little bit more about how you think, how you relate to others, and how others can relate to you. Visit SetsForSociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started. Sets for Society, get to know yourself. Also, want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer is here. It's hot, but so is the grill. When you are grilling up, you should be outside with a Golden's Cast Iron grill or with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Let's jump back into the conversation here, Thrift. Week 1, Auburn is on the road versus Baylor in Waco, and all eyes will be on Auburn's offense. I've had several discussions this week, but I've got to get my guy Thrift Behringer on the record about his week 1 prediction. Auburn projects to sling it around the field. I know that Baylor is going to try to do that. This could be a high-scoring affair, but if Auburn is effective passing the ball, we could see the run game open up for Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb. I have to think, I mean, we're going to get to the score, but I want to talk some offensive predictions here for you. And we're going to go over or under 300 yards passing for Jackson Arnold versus Baylor.
I'm saying under.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it has to do because of the defense, Baylor. And I also think, is that Jackson Arnold's strength to throw it all over the field, sit back in the pocket? I think he is a playmaker. They're going to use his legs. They're going to let him throw the ball to the field. I could see more of a 100 over, and we'll get into this, but maybe over 100 yards rushing, 200 yards passing. Do I see him just sitting there being Peyton Manning? No, I don't see over 300 yards. And I hope I am wrong, but I'm saying under.
Under on the 300-yard passing game for Jackson Arnold.
Yes.
Just want to reference here his best passing game in 2024. It looks like it was 225 yards versus South Carolina. He was 18 for 36 in that game. That's a 50% completion percentage with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He only had 3 interceptions on the season, so he didn't turn the ball over. Thrift going under. I'm going over. I'm going over on this one. I just feel like these receivers are going to eat. I know this is a pretty good defense, but I don't think they have an answer for Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons. I just, if you get the ball anywhere near these guys this year, I think they're going to catch it. And not only are they going to catch it, they're going to make plays. And when you combine that with the fact that Jackson Arnold doesn't really turn the ball over, I think he opens up his Auburn tenure with a bang over 300 yards. Let's get to the run game.
Hold up, Mike. I got to say this, though, man. Dave Aranda's calling the plays on defense. He took that back over. According to Phil Steele, Baylor's the preseason favorite and the #1 defense in the Big 12. It is at Baylor. You don't think a guy that has to have his coach tell the defense to take it easy on to build confidence is not going to be a little bit shaken on a Friday night in Waco, Texas? Are you kidding me? If he does that, I'm willing to eat crow, man, because then we got really a guy that can probably take us to a place that we hope we could get to in year 3 on Hugh Freeze and could be a legitimate chance if he throws for over 300 yards against Baylor like that.
Well, he's going to get the opportunity. I think that Hugh Freeze has been criticized for throwing the ball too much and not running the ball enough. And if this is the type of game we think it's going to be, Auburn may have to. So out of necessity, they may have to throw the ball quite a bit. We'll see if they get up and play ball control, or are they chasing Baylor offensively all night? So it's going to be a little bit situational, but where I see this game going, I think Auburn it's probably going to be 30+ points on the scoreboard in this one, and they've stacked the deck around Jackson Arnold to set a really, really high floor for him. So I'm going over 300. I think maybe even on an average night for him from a completion percentage standpoint, still making big plays down the field, which he did at Oklahoma. And quite honestly, last year, Auburn did not struggle to produce big plays. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. So
Right.
that continues under Hugh Freeze. Moving on to the run game, there will be questions about Hugh Freeze's commitment to the run. He was criticized, and rightfully so, for not utilizing Jarquez Hunter more last year. He averaged 6.4 yards per carry. Damari Allison averages over 5 yards per carry, but he's got big shoes to fill from the second leading rusher in the SEC last year. Auburn over or under 200 yards rushing as a team.
I think they have over, because I think if we saw that they had some games over 200 yards rushing because of Hunter and Peyton Thorne, can they do with Alston and Jackson Arnold? He's even a better athlete than Peyton Thorne was. But I'm not so sure Auburn has the best running back duo in this game, man. Bryson Washington, quarterback, Bryson Washington and Pendergrass ran for over 1,700 yards last year for Baylor. And Washington had over 1,000 yards. So they're going to be just as dynamic. I do think the Auburn's offensive line is why I'm so high on them. I think running back, they could pick any of the three, and I think they're going to be successful because of how dominant I think this Auburn offensive line could potentially be this year, especially through the run game, if we're to utilize it, unlike we did last year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. Again, you mentioned the Baylor. On defense, for rush defense, the Baylor Bears allowed 152 yards per game on the ground. That's not great. It's in the bottom half of the Big 12 easily, but they weren't the worst, but they certainly weren't great there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for Baylor. If they are going to let Auburn come into their house and run the ball, it's going to be a very, very long night for them. I think when you factor in Jackson Arnold's legs,
over,
and him making plays with his legs as a team, I'm going over 200 yards rushing as well too. I think just by committee, those guys should be able to get it done. And then you look at Jackson Arnold rushing against Alabama. 25 carries for 131 yards, Jackson Arnold. Against Alabama. So he can be dynamic with his legs at times. Versus Tulane, 14 carries for 97 yards here. LSU, 17 carries for 75 yards. If he's going to get over 50 yards rushing, I think Auburn is going to clear 200 yards as a team easily.
Yes,
right?
I completely agree with you.
All right, well, before we get out of here, I got to get you on the scoreboard. I called this one 38-21 Thrift. The Tigers win. I've got them winning by a couple scores. I think that this defense shows up. I think they do what they did all year last year. I hear you on Baylor, but I also will tell you it was the Big 12. And there was a lot of parity in that conference because, quite frankly, nobody really separated from the pack. Arizona State won it, but I'm telling you, they almost lost to UCF. And that conference, while there is a ton of parity, is a mess in my book. So I put an asterisk behind some of their accomplishments in the conference. Not as bad as the now defunct Pac-12, but who's the marquee program in the Big 12 right now? Texas and Oklahoma are gone, right?
No.
Is it Baylor?
Right.
Is it Texas Tech, who just dropped, like $30 million on the portal? Like, they had a billionaire come through and just drop a bunch of many M's on players to improve that roster. They're one of the Big 12 favorites now. Conference is wide open. A lot of those teams dropped the ball down the stretch. Iowa State, Colorado, Kansas State, all these BYU, all these teams had a chance to make the college football playoff, and they blew it versus each other. So I think Auburn is a different beast this year. And
No,
I think out of necessity, they will be. I think that the team senses the desperation. I said this on an earlier segment, but I'm saying it again for you. I got them 38-21 Tigers on the road. What say you?
Big 12 preseason favorites: Baylor, Utah, Iowa State, and Arizona State are the top 4 teams. Also a sleeper, Kansas State. That's high, Mike. 17-point victory, dominant like that. You're talking about Thrift Behringer coming on this show the following Tuesday, saying national championship appearance. If we're talking 38-21, I wouldn't say, let me rephrase that. I think playoff contention for sure. I'm going to pick an Auburn win because that's what I want to do.
Okay.
As bad as I want to say over 30 points, I have to see it first before I believe in Hugh freezing the play
That's
calling.
fair.
I'm going 28-24 Auburn. Close game. They pull it out. Close victory because of the legs of Jackson Arnold in the end. The defense makes plays. I think Baylor is good. I really do. I think they're going to be a really good team that wins over 10, maybe 10 games this year and in the playoff hunt and win the Big 12. But I think Auburn's that talented, and if they're able to win on the road against a good Baylor team, sets them up, I think, for potentially what could be a really good year.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting in my book. 28-24, Thrift Behringer is calling it. I hope you're wrong. I don't want to sweat week 1. I want to see Auburn dominate.
You want a smoke
1.
show? I mean, week 1 at Waco, Friday night.
You stacked the talent just for that. By star for star, Auburn is a much more talented team.
I agree.
And at some point, they have to play like it. And I think that we saw flashes of that brilliance last year, even sometimes in losses, in big play making ability that they had. As I mentioned, Auburn was amongst the leaders in the country in terms of producing plays of 40 plus yards or more, or 20 plus yards or more. They were able to push the ball up the field, just stall. The red zone offense was awful. Now, I think we see them open it up. Now, in my other case, when I said over 300 yards passing, is Hugh Freeze has admitted they have not run a lot of 10 personnel, if at all, since he's been on the Plains. The reason has been about the talent or lack thereof of talent and experience at wide receiver. You've addressed that. You spent a ton of money retaining this receiver room. And I think we do see 10 personnel and 11 personnel and maybe even some 0 unleashed here to get all these playmakers on the field and dare defenses to stop one of them. If Jackson Arnold is your trigger guy and he is accurate and he protects the football, those guys are going to eat. I'm sorry. Auburn fans have complained about receiver talent for every year. Our receivers couldn't catch a cold. Well, these receivers can. And when Cam Coleman came here, I said, if this kid does not live up to the billing, it's Auburn's fault.
I agree.
He's already an NFL talent. I'm telling you, he is a first-round NFL talent. If he doesn't get drafted in the first round, it's Auburn's fault. Period. Yeah, he's too good. So this is the game where they show it. I think the Tigers jump up in the rankings with a win on the road at Baylor to start the season. We've got Thrift. Chat, we'll hold them to it. 28-24. Come back next.
Listen, at least I'm doing this though, Mike. If Auburn does lose to Baylor, I won't be as shocked as you are with the 38-21 smack. If Sawyer Robinson just completely balls out, they run for 200 yards and they beat Auburn 31-21. Mike G's going to be sick to his stomach coming in on that Monday.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm telling you, with the teams that Auburn faced last year, if none of them could do that, I don't see Baylor doing that.
Good point.
Personally. On this defense, come on, man. If those guys could not run, Georgia couldn't run it up on Auburn, Bama couldn't run it up on Auburn, I don't think that Baylor's going to run it up on Auburn. That's just me. And so the defense will have had to have gotten worse. Keldrick Falk, if he has a decent day, it's going to be a long day for Sawyer Robinson because he's going to be in that backfield causing havoc. We voted him preseason first team All SEC.
I did too.
And that was validated by our peers in the media. So I can't see a scenario where the players are the ones who fail. Now, if you have questions about the game Hugh Freeze is going to call, I hear you and I'm with you. But the opportunity certainly should be there. Thrift Behringer, I want to thank you for joining me today. Before we get out of here,
man.
as always, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, Facebook and YouTube. High school sports is up and running, and we are about to be gung-ho for the 2025-2026 school year. We have 20 schools in our coverage area, and plus we do talk all things local, regional, national, and plus I got the Sports Vision Morning Show every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. DJ Jones and I love talking sports. Mike G, appreciate you having me on as always.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate our listeners, guys. If you appreciate us back, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Show us some love. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. As always, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.